Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Scott Luton and Kevin L. Jackson with you here on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's live stream. Kevin, how you doing, my friend?
Did you say wherever you are?
Wherever you
I
may be.
am I am in rainy San Antonio, Texas. Can you believe that? It's raining down here.
That never happens, but what always happens is Kevin's on the move. He's across the globe. He's a rock and roll star, and you're time traveling today because I bet you're at least an hour behind us, and you're
Yeah,
usually in front
sounds
of us,
right. Yeah.
Kevin.
Yep, I'm
Uh,
an hour behind you. But I had Tex-Mex last night. So
all right, so
if
you're a
I
little bit
if
sluggish
I
today, perhaps.
no,
Well,
but
hey,
if I get in the right position, I'll get some jet power and maybe I can catch up to
hey, it all takes global supply chain moving forward. And that's kind of what we're talking about today to segue to a lighter topic. Hey, we're talking about a big show here today, tracking the ongoing Red Seas crisis, how it's
you.
impacting global supply chains. You know, a lot of things are unsure, but one thing is for sure, ongoing disruption is the name of the game. Now, Kevin, in order
Yeah.
to better deal with that guaranteed disruption, we're going to be talking today about the power of real digital transformation, including innovative use of artificial intelligence to especially optimize ocean supply chain management. And Kevin, much like you, we've got a great mover and shaker joining us today. Should be a great show, right?
Yeah, that sort of brings some memories back to me because you're going to talk about me now. But remember the tanker war? When
Oh
I was
yeah.
in the Navy during the tanker war, and I was on USS America, and we were in the Gulf, and we were actually monitoring the oceans. Uh, we were taking pictures of the tankers that got exocets into the side of them, looking at the Mavericks.
Wow.
Blowing up the tankers, and it's sort of like the same thing that's going on today,
Yeah.
right? I mean, years later. So it's sort of nostalgic, but it's critical. It's even more critical today that freedom of the seas is important to us all.
Well said. And this disruption continues. There's another story that it illustrates there. All right. So
Mm.
we're about to bring on our outstanding guests here. Before we do, I want to say hello to Andre and Georgios and Amanda and Catherine, all the other folks that joined us around the world. Also, if y'all enjoyed today's show, be sure to share it with a friend or your network. They'll be glad that you did. All right, Kevin, we buckled up, ready to go. We got to get to work. I want to welcome
Yes,
in
sir.
our
Uh-huh.
featured guest, Ami Daniel, co-founder and CEO of Windward. Hey, Ami, how you doing?
Yay.
I'm doing well. I'm here with a digital transformer, so and a fellow Navy guy. So I couldn't be better. I feel like a fish in the water, if you will.
Well,
Digital Transformers Connect.
Boom, fist bump,
we
fist
got.
bump.
I'll tell you what, we need to wire both of y'all to the electrical power grid. The whole globe will have plenty of energy for days on end. Hey, all right, we got a lot to get into, but I want to, if y'all can't tell all of our audience out there across the globe, we might just have a little bit of personality on today's panel. So let's illustrate some of that.
Is
Ami,
that you? Is that you?
that's gonna be
Are you talking about yourself? It's not. I can't. Anyway, go
not at
please go on.
all. So I want to start with a fun little warm-up question, right? So today is officially recognized as Beer Can Appreciation Day. Now, as the myth goes, it might be a myth, it might be a fact, who
Mm.
knows? It's reportedly meant to celebrate January 24th, 1935, when beer was first sold in a can at a brewery in New Jersey, of all places. So
Mm.
I want to use that to ask you
Hmm.
both. There'll be parades everywhere. Folks will be celebrating a happy hour today. What is one of your favorite beers or adult beverages? And Ami, I want to start with you.
I don't like beer.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I only like drinks if they have an umbrella in them.
Okay.
And the pinker they are, the better. So
Okay.
I know it doesn't make me very formidable, especially not with a digital transformer here next to me. But I'm happy to
Oh,
celebrate Appreciation Day while drinking like a pink cocktail on the beach with an umbrella, dipping it in.
Ami, I
oh,
love it. I love the
shoot,
image
shoot,
you're
shoot.
painting there. All right. So Kevin, that's gonna be tough to top. Your favorite
You
beer
know
or
what?
adult beverage?
You know what? I used to like Ami, right? Okay, you know why I like Ami? Because he was in the Navy. He was in the Navy. I got a story about that, by the way. And when I was in Haifa and swimming in the Dead Sea. But anyway,
Yeah, I was
you're in
born
the
in
Navy.
Haifa, by the way. I
Oh,
was
you
born,
were. I
bred
love
and
that
raised.
city.
Of course, I was
Oh,
trained in the Navy while riding on the beach in Haifa, and all the American ships came into Haifa. It was great. I love it.
Wow,
but if you're in
man.
the Navy, then when it comes to beer, I'm not a big beer drinker either. But the one beer I do drink is
Yeah.
San Miguel or San Magoo from the Philippines.
Okay, man.
Actually, you know, Matt, I actually know the family. That's number one. Number two, I have a good story for you. Two good stories. One, and one of them is segue to for supply chains. And Scott's gonna love that. So number one, here's a challenge for you, Kevin.
Okay.
Corona beer, okay?
Yeah.
Where do they drink them with a lemon and where without a lemon?
Interesting.
Oh, that's interesting.
All right, you got to give us the answer.
Okay. Outside of Mexico, they drink it with a lemon because that's their marketing. In Mexico, they don't actually put the lemon in.
They don't drink it with
Okay.
lemon, yeah.
Well, hey,
No, they just drink Corona beer.
Well, you know, I don't remember Snoop Dogg having a lemon in his Corona.
But the perfect segue is that if you think about how Corona is being made, and it's a perfect segue for supply chain, is ABI and Bev make them. And they're the biggest beer manufacturer in the world. So if you think of the beer operation globally, it's cross-continent, it's raw materials, it's finished products, it's distribution, it's supply chain now, my friends.
Agreed. And so, Ami, before we make that segue, though, we got some folks in the audience that want to weigh in. Andre's back with us, Stella Artoy, and he says perhaps he's being a bit hubris with that selection. We have Siham. Great to see you, Siham. Heineken, she's a big fan of that. Dr. Karsten Mackholtz, canned beer is awful. They say, greetings from the Center of Beer Brewers in Bavaria, Germany. How about that?
Okay, that's good.
And Sarah says, in Canada, we add grenadine to the Corona and lemon. How about that? Well, hey, great to have.
I didn't know that.
One thing, I need to add something though. It's a very close second to San Miguel. It's the cherry beer in Belgium. Crick beer. It doesn't come in bottles.
I had it.
Okay.
I had it. My mother-in-law loves them. Do you love them as well?
Yes, I love them. Yeah.
I'll roll with it. I'll roll with it. And by the way, I got to add a little mention of Newcastle. Newcastle is delicious, and that is a great beer. All right, so Ami, we're going to go with that segue because it is a perfect segue, right? I think for a couple reasons, because of the massive global supply chain behind our favorite beverages, but also it brings people together, and goodness knows we need a lot of that here today. And really, this conversation I think is going to be very positive, informative, and innovative based on what you are doing, as well as ways we can do business differently. But before we get there, context is important. So, Ami, you and the Windward team have been on the move in recent years. For the three people out there that may not be familiar with you, briefly tell us what Windward does, okay?
Sure. Hi, I'm Daniel, co-founder and CEO of Windward. We're a shipping AI company. So we observe all the ships, all the cargoes, all the companies, and all the vessels in the world 24/7. And we help you take better decisions, which make you reduce your risk or make your money. We work with about 200 customers globally, blue chip ones. The US government is actually our biggest customer. So that's we're very proud to make an impact on the world. So we touch everything that floats, basically, not just containers. So when somebody says supply chain now, they usually think containers, but actually supply chain now is even more than containers, right? Some of them are raw materials, some that goes to containers. So to get a hold of that, with 90% of the world's cargo transport through the seas, you probably need to look at everything. So that's who we are.
Love that. And one more follow-up question before I get Kevin to weigh in on what y'all do and your background, because your background is fascinating. Kevin gave you up a little bit on the front end of our conversation, but Ami, 7 years in the Israeli Navy, and tell us a little more about your background.
Yeah, actually, I'm a social entrepreneur originally. So when I was 16, I built a community center. I raised about $1 million for that. And it's still working, it's still happening. A lot of people, like 800 people in my hometown. In Haifa, by the way, Kevin. So just across the sea. It's called the Eye of the Sea. That's the neighborhood. Okay. So in Shikomona, if you remember that place. Very nice place. Then I joined the Navy. My ship got hit from a missile 2006, July 14th, 8:42 p.m. So just off Lebanon. So I know it's exactly the same missiles, by the way, they're shooting in the Red Sea right now. So I know that myself from the wrong end, if you will. And that same day, actually that same minute, general cargo vessel got hit and drowned, just I think 3 clicks north of us. So so I think it's interesting to be here now, because from many perspectives, from a supply chain perspective, tanker perspective, compliance perspective, trading perspective, security perspective, it all converged in the last month to a single topic that probably influences everybody listening to this conversation.
Agreed. So, Kevin, I'll get you to weigh in, but before you do, what I love, Ami, and the little bit you shared, and there's so much more, a lot of ventures you've been a part of and initiatives, but from what I can tell from doing my homework, the common thread there is it's like you were born to make the world a better place. And I really appreciate that genuine component of who you are. Kevin, weigh in on just the experiences he shared there.
Well, first of all, Haifa is a beautiful city. I love Haifa. I'll spend some time there in Israel. I did a half century bike. I went to Masada. I went to go float in the Dead Sea. That was great. I loved it. And spent some time with the Israeli Navy. And it gave me a good time. I enjoyed that. That was fun.
Wow.
So, great time.
I just get an image of Kevin floating in the Dead Sea right now in my head. And I think I'm not going to sleep for 3 days now. It's like,
That's what happens when you get a big belly. You can float anywhere. But
all right, we got a lot to get into. Man, y'all are quite the 1-2 punch today. As I shared in the pre-show, I should have brought a lasso today. You got to keep the conversation.
I'm sorry. Let's keep it on track.
Us, Scott. You just can't control us.
It's tough. Some days are tougher than others. But I want to get into more and more of what you see, what you are doing, the opportunities that are out there, again, to do global supply chain and really global business better. I want to start by a little bit more context. You and your team work with business leaders around the globe many of them are navigating today's complex, uncertain environment in supply chain or otherwise, but especially in ocean freight. So if you could start with a few observations in terms of what's going on in the current business landscape in ocean shipping, please, Ami.
Yeah, I think first of all, I think it's a bit of aha moment. What happened last month and a half? Obviously, I'm meeting a lot of business leaders around the world, C-level execs, VPs, and so forth, CEOs of big forwarders, heads of logistics or big BCOs, tanker operators. We work with 3 oil majors. So I basically spend more than half my time with them. And post-COVID, a lot of people thought, I would say even they discounted COVID. Because they said, the supply chain mess, that was once in a lifetime. That's not coming back anymore, okay? That's done. Freight rates jumped off a cliff. Everything was, smooth sailing. People were thinking, whoa, there's the weak demand. Maybe the world economy isn't what it is. And I think that's where the last few months are a bit of a black swan. Because it's an aha moment, even an epiphany that says, today's world, probably the pace has doubled or tripled. So there's always going to be something happening. It's either the Panama Canal, then there's the Red Sea. Who knows what's going to happen with China and Taiwan if you listen to President Biden and to candidate Trump and candidate Haley, I guess. And if you listen to what they say, kind of for now, on China and Taiwan, and who knows what's going to happen with the Hormuz Straits, where you mentioned the Iran-Iraq war. So I think the world is a very volatile place. So first of all, there was an aha moment. That's number one. Number two, I think preparation is super important. What I've seen is that our customers who took a long-term view of their business, which means, well, we need to digitalize, we need to be more efficient, we need to create more revenue, brought in technology, worked on the digital transformation, if you will, Kevin, of their processes, actually excelled when the Red Sea kind of happened. Whereas the people who were on the sidelines a bit saying, listen, we're going to think about it. We're going to save $100,000. What are we going to do? We have all these people, they need to do this. Their customers are not happy now. And their stakeholders are not happy now because they get 450 emails a day on what's happening. So I think that's that aha moment. That's number one. I think number two, geopolitical tension has become a real driving force. So if you think of the driving forces of the world right now, you think about the climate crisis, Panama Canal, right? COVID, by the way, is climate crisis probably. you think of geopolitical tensions, think Red Sea, think Iran, Iraq, think China, Taiwan. So that's number two. And number three, I would just say derivatives of these two. And I'll give you an example. A couple of days ago, a tanker, which was sanctioned by the US, blocked the Bosphorus Straits for a day. So the reason it did it is probably because of geopolitical tensions, and they wanted to punish that. So these are the big drivers, and I think business leaders, I think it's in the name, leaders, and I'd like to paraphrase Andy Grove's famous book, Only the Paranoid Survive. If you believe that only the paranoid survive, in a world that moves so fast, you probably need to lean in and be a kind of also a deep thinker and partner with deep thinkers, which is hopefully why I'm speaking to you guys.
No, that's amazing.
Kevin, that's quite a list. We could do, I think, probably a series per item that Ami dropped there. But respond to those observations, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, people don't realize that we had Iran and Pakistan exchange ICBMs.
Yep.
Just not long ago. And one thing I'd like to get Ami's comments on is that also, I guess a few weeks ago, maybe a month, there were shippers that actually suspended their operations in the region because of the attacks by the Houthis there, right? And it to me, it looked like a failure because for some reason people no longer trusted the world to protect these waterways. The insurance companies apparently refused to start covering. And I don't, in my memory, I don't remember that ever happening before. Am I missing something? What was the failure there?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think trust is a strange thing because it's intangible, right? And the business community and the free market goes after trust. I'd like to harp on that. And I'm sure you heard of it, but Ukraine attacked with drones a Russian export terminal, oil export terminal, a couple of days ago. And my view is that they've actually seen how much of a mess and attention the Houthis are doing, and they're getting attention at a global scale. So think of it, with $100,000 of drones, you can get an attention, which with a $10 million of budget, you're not going to get. And I think that view of getting something on the world agenda is quite interesting. And I agree. I think, by the way, President Biden stepped up, as well as Prime Minister Sunak from UK, and they're trying to verify and make sure people keep on trading there. However, when trust will go back, it's a good question. And insurance, by the way, just to pass through that area is between $1 and $3 million a passage. So I'm not sure it is a clear cut anymore to pass through the Suez Canal versus go around.
So Ami and Kevin, I want to shift gears a bit because I want to get more into some of the ways that we're changing the game to respond to all of this stressful, harmful, disruptive landscape that's out there. Before I do, though, Siham says, time for all supply chain functions to work together. It's not just about you. I love that, Siham. And Andre, okay, the more the world becomes paranoid, the shorter supply chains become. Not always good, since cooperation and trust, as Ami said, is the way to go. And I love that book, by the way. Everybody take that note. Ami mentioned Only the Paranoid Survive. Y'all check that out. Okay, so I want to shift over to artificial intelligence, Kevin and Ami. Folks, as we all know, AI has been around for a long, long time, but 2023 seemed to be certainly at least one of the golden years of AI. So, Ami, if you would share a few thoughts about how you see AI playing a critical role in the modern, like today's supply chain.
Sure. First of all, I got to say, I try to read a lot, and I think it's important for deep thinking. So there's a great book about this called The Coming Wave, which just talks exactly about this. So exactly tries to answer this question, not on supply chain, but on the world. And he talks about the convergence of trends. So first of all, I got to say, technology hasn't been, I think we need to appreciate that, hasn't been a rock star in supply chains. If you read Eric Johnson from Journal of Commerce for JOC, what he says is, listen, guys, all this log tech thing, you promised us to change the world. You raised billions. What did we get? More CargoWise. More CargoWise. That's what we got, right? Everybody's buying CargoWise. So I think it's part of the cycle. 2024 is really, in my view, the tipping point of AI in the enterprise, and I'll explain why. Gen AI and AI in general does a few big things. Number one, it reduces the bar. It's much easier to build something with generative AI, theoretically, than traditional AI. That's number one. Number two, it hyper-educated the executives. According to McKinsey, 94% of the companies are going to invest more in AI in 24 than in 23. And 50% of the companies will have an AI-driven supply chain by 2025, I believe.
Wow.
So the demand, the customer side wants to move. From my experience, the problem is, which is what we're going to talk about today, you don't know where to move or how to move. Like they feel there's a FOMO. If not, I'm not going to do something with AI, my competitor is going to be better. This guy's going to make more money. I'm reading ChatGPT in the news. I need to do something. But then when you get drilled down to what exactly do you want to do, which is I get. That's why Kevin's very successful. They need people like Kevin. They need people like you guys. They need hopefully thoughtful partners like us to help them translate that FOMO and budget to an outcome. And I think that's what we need to talk about today. How do you bridge FOMO to outcome? Because otherwise you end up with another innovation project nobody likes.
And waste. We got to get to these outcomes and kind of what you were alluding to. And we talked a lot earlier this week about, and Kevin, I know you subscribe to this too, making it easier on our team to achieve more and to be more confident in their decisions and be able to make better decisions faster, right? Kevin, respond though to how Ami is painting the picture of how AI is already playing a role. Your thoughts, Kevin?
So another flashback, cloud computing. All of these executives got on the plane, looked in the magazine and saw cloud computing. And they said, I don't know what it is, but I want that. And they didn't know how
Get me two.
Yeah, me too.
Get me two of these. 2 clouds. Get me 2 clouds. One for the lady out there, please.
They had no idea how to link it to a business model. They didn't know idea if it applied to their business model. The same thing is happening to AI. I just need to have AI. Okay, how does that affect? How does it support your process? How does it support your business model? What are you going to do with AI? They don't care. They don't know. But the worst part of it, same thing in cloud, is they refuse to get the education they need to leverage it properly. All right. There's not enough education on how to apply AI to your business model and the intersections. And in cloud, what that led to was a big increase in investment and then huge amounts of losses because they just bought cloud.
The wrong outcomes. The wrong outcomes, Kevin and Ami. No outcomes. All right. So I want to. We got a lot to get into, and we're almost halfway there, Ami and Kevin. And I want to take us into a very practical component of global supply chain management that's timeless, right? But before I do, I want to share just a couple of quick comments. Bill is still talking about some adult beverages. He says that, and Bill, great to see you in Savannah. Coffee moonshine here and sweet whiskey in South Carolina at a Burnt Church Distillery. Okay, Bill, I love that. Hope you and the
he's a shareholder. Well. He's a shareholder. He's a shareholder.
That's right. Hey, Neil, thanks for being here wherever you are. Let us know where you're tuned in from. Dr. Macolt says AI has been one of the 4 top topics of this year's World Economic Forum that recently was held in Davos. It affects all areas of business, society, and education. What a great point. Janice loves, I think, what Ami said earlier. You said translate FOMO, fear of missing out, to an outcome, a positive outcome. I'm with you there, Janice. Thanks for being here. Let us know where you're tuned in from.
Before you go,
Kevin.
You're talking about Bill, but Bill had mentioned Karen Angela Ponce, right? I don't want you to forget her. You didn't talk about her. She's in the Philippines. She yelled out about San Miguel. And I used to live in Olongapo and Manila. So and she talked about San Miguel as cherry beer or fruit flavored beer, whatever. That's my girl right there.
Karen, great to have you here from the Philippines. And thanks so much. Let us know. And folks, all the y'all that are tuned in, let us know what you think about these really big topics that we're talking about with Ami and Kevin here today. Okay. I want to talk about exception management, Ami and Kevin. And managing exceptions is no doubt an inseparable aspect to the role of supply chain management practitioners everywhere since the dawn of time, as I was saying a minute ago. But that critical responsibility is truly evolving. And in many ways, while the challenges and the scenarios and all the different factors are going up, our ability to better lead, manage exceptions and everything else is right at our fingertips in many ways. So I want to do this, though, Ami, to make sure our whole audience is with us right from around the world. Let's define exception management first as it applies to shipping.
Sure. Exception management is how do I find things that are not on the happy path? Very simply. Some people, BCOs, by the way, tend to call it critical events management. And if you think about the last couple of years, visibility emerged as something. Visibility is the very basic thing, right? It's, I know where stuff is. But that, in some way, shape, or form, kind of overloads more the operators because now they have more data. They need to figure things out in a different way. Exception management is making the product work for the operator and tell them, listen, great, you know where stuff is. That's great. That's amazing. But how about we float the top 5 things for you? You're handling these top 10 shipments coming into these ports. Look at these top 10. Don't focus on these 1,000. So it's focus, focus, focus. It needs to be actionable. It needs to be interpretable. So you don't want to just say there's an exception. You want to say, what is the exception? Why is the exception? And what am I supposed to do about it? Timely example, Red Sea.
Okay.
Some of the CMA, CGM vessels sail through the Red Sea. Some of them don't. The Maersk U.S. flagged vessels sail through the Red Sea because the U.S. Navy provides escorts, but some of them don't. So you can't go around looking at the websites all day on the schedules and stuff like that. You kind of need exception. We rolled out an exception called route deviation that says this specific container is being deviated around the Cape of Good Hope, and it's affected, while this one isn't. So that's a very tangible example of an exception. Does that make sense, Scott?
Yeah, it sure does. Kevin, your quick thoughts before I move to my next question for Ami.
Well, when I think about exceptions, one of the things, I mean, you mentioned it. You have to be smart, right, about it, specific, measurable, and so forth. What about leveraging exceptions with your partners as things change? I mean, no one operates as an island, especially in the supply web, because it's not a chain. How do you leverage this exception view with your extended ecosystem?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think first of all, you need to communicate in a different way. I'm not sure people want 10,000 more emails. What's been working great.
Don't sign me up, please.
Do you want, Scott, 10,000 more emails? I can get you anyway. I think what's been working for our
I'll
customers.
do the same thing. I mean, I don't read that first 2,000, 10,000,
Right.
so whatever.
I've been emailing Scott all week. He hasn't been responding. Anyway. But I think what's been working well to our customers is visual communication. So it's a shareable link, which they can share with on any shipment, any vessel, any port, any cargo, just between them. So you can operate on your mobile. You walk in the street, and therefore I think it reduces the amount of tension. It increases communication. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. I say a dynamic link is probably worth 1,000,000.
Yes, I'm with you. And you know what? That's a great foreshadowing question because that's where we're headed. Similarly, where we're headed next with Ami.
It's a great word, foreshadowing, by the way. It's a great word. Like
you looked it up.
You're up there. You're up there. The Queen of England is right now waving at you, saying, "Wow, foreshadowing." That's impressive.
We're expanding our vocabulary.
Bring him to me. The king, bring him to me.
Before though, Tim Ingram is with us. Tim, great to see you. Exception management is critical. The focus, Tim says, should be to prevent exceptions versus reactions to them. Great comment there, Tim. Great to see you. It's been too long. And then Sarah's reading our mind. Sarah says, hey, can we get some specific examples of how AI is being used by customers for supply chain? Sarah, you're here in the right place, because our next question for Ami is kind of a great follow-up to what Kevin was just asking and what Ami was just answering. When the rubber meets the road, how is innovative modern technology truly shaping and empowering Ami our ability to manage exceptions a whole lot better, or as Tim put it, even prevent them? Your thoughts, Ami?
Sure. I think there's a few levels to it. First of all, I think AI is getting to supply chain planning, and companies like O9 are doing it quite well. So it's basically taking all your demand information, your supply information, trying to match them, and go do that better. So that's one example. We're doing downstream supply chain, so it's taking all of your shipments globally, whether it's in containers or not in containers, predicting when they're going to arrive, which is quite hard, especially nowadays. And when I say predicting, it's not really the ships, it's also the containers, because container might have 1, 2, 3 transshipments. About half of the containers in the world get through transshipment, so you need to predict that. That's one layer of AI. The second one's exceptions are also a level of AI. So predicting you're going to miss a transshipment, predicting late allocation of a vessel, predicting a route deviation, predicting a skipped port, predicting the fact that the schedule doesn't make sense. So these are all examples of AI that I think can work for you. The next level, which we'll talk about in a bit, I guess, is also putting your data to work, because many people want to source data and get more data, but I think they're leaving on the floor or on the table their own data. So in our view, the last level of really AI is to take public and commercial data, the atoms, if you bit, the movements and the atoms in the bit, if you will, and connects it with the bits, the documents and the files and information you have, and marry them. I think that's probably the holy grail. And if you ask me 2024, that's the tipping point to getting there.
Well, that's where we're going next in 2024 and beyond, really. But Kevin, I want to get your comments on what Ami said there. And I want to do so, but with this preface. Way back in the day, when big data became a term, I don't know, that we were using regularly, as like cliche, I'll call it 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. The common refrain from a lot of folks was, okay, great, we spent all this money to gather all this data, but what are we going to do with it? Well, now to Ami's point, third point there, man, putting that wealth of data to work is a big advantage for practical, effective users of artificial intelligence. Kevin, your thoughts on the little 3-point checklist that Ami just gave us?
Well, I feel like I want to be a contrarian, right? Okay. So Ami was talking about the pandemic. I mean, we've forgotten that was so far low. Also last year. But
remind me which pandemic? The Spanish.
But everything broke because we were using data from before to try to manage in a unique environment, and you could no longer really predict because your environment wasn't the past anymore.
Correct.
Now, it sounds like, I'm afraid now we're going to use AI to try to look at data, in the past to try to predict the future. And AI may make mistakes also. Do we need to also look at the AI mistakes so that we can maybe predict better in the future? Or is the data in the past no longer valid because of all the change in every day? We actually have a new set of initial conditions. Yesterday they weren't shooting rockets in the Red Sea. Today they are. The next day you're going to have ICBMs flying all over the place. So how do you balance all of this?
So I think it's a great point, by the way. I am actually not a pure AI believer. I don't think AI, ta-da, that's the holy grail, that's going to solve all your problems. Just sign up, you'll be profitable. Not at all. Actually, I think a hybrid approach is probably the best one. Humans and AI kind of complement themselves together. I think you need to, as a tech company, you need to deploy all the ways to solve problems. By the way, rule engines is one of them. Oh my God,
Mm.
I'm sorry to say that. ML is one of them. Unsupervised learning, supervised, deep learning, LLMs. It's all arrows in your quiver, or tools in your toolbox to solve the relevant problem. Actually, I think also if you listen well to the CTO of OpenAI, Ilya, he says that you can't actually trust LLMs completely. And I spoke to one of our customers today who's trying to use Copilot in their data, and they asked the customer, the Copilot something, and the
Yeah.
Copilot on their business, and the Copilot literally invented something completely wrong. Okay, completely wrong on their business. So I don't think it's there yet. Maybe GPT-5 will be there. Maybe GPT-6 will be there. I think you should think about a hybrid approach where you have a back office to validate it, but you still leverage AI. No binary outcome, I think, is a good one.
Yes.
Trust the computer, do what it says, not there yet. Ignore the computer, keep on with Scott's handwritten notes to manage supply chains. That's also not good, because I think when you're not moving, all the rest of the world is moving, and it's moving quite fast. Always remember the CEO of Nokia. They were at the top. Kodak. They were at the top. I have a story for you, Kevin. I was working exactly Blockbuster. I was walking with my kids in Germany, and they saw this strange thing, like these Kodak round things, and they're saying that, and like black things look like how is it called? Camera, and they're like, Dad, what is that? And I had to tell them all the story. It used to be cameras and Kodak films and all that story. So never forget that. Only the paranoid survive. I see Scott there has built to last. So if you want to be built to last, you probably need to move. Am I the first guest to paraphrase that, by the way?
You're the first guest to notice that I swapped out that book just a couple days ago. So you don't miss anything. Hey, really quick.
Kevin. One thing.
Okay, go ahead, Kevin.
So what I hear Emmy say, this is what he said. You can look at the weatherman or the weatherwoman, and they tell you what the American model says or what the European model says, and you can believe it, but you still need to look out the window.
Right. That's right.
To know what the weather is.
So correct. I want to pull a broader point out of this, and then we're going to get back to talking tech. And Ami, I really appreciate what you said a minute ago, that you're not 100% AI fixes everything and just rely on AI. That's a great point. And I want to bring in a couple of comments here. I think this is Thomas Dent, I believe. Catherine and Amanda, help me out if you would. Who says, if you don't have discipline, the people don't have discipline with the fundamentals, AI just exasperates the exceptions at scale and with more velocity. That's such a great point. And Tim says, AI doesn't make mistakes. People do, regarding clean data versus dirty data, and so on and so forth. So I want to ask you this, Ami. When we come to, a lot of folks will blame technology for various ills of the day, but perhaps an equal opportunity, if not a bigger opportunity we have, is to focus on the people in our teams and make sure they understand the why, understand what we're trying to do, what's in it for them, make sure they have the training they need, and know how to use this wealth of technology to do their job better. Talk to that point, if you would, Ami.
Yeah, sure. If you, I attended the Gartner conference and supply chain conference in Barcelona in June, I believe. Was speaking there, and I think it was one of the top 3 issues by Gartner, which is manpower. Specifically in supply chain, I think it's quite a challenge. Many of the operations have been offshored. I heard India, I heard Philippines, I know a bit of Malaysia, but they've been offshored. And then you get these teams in Europe or the US that creates these processes, but these ops teams that are doing these processes in a completely different place. So I think I think it's quite a challenge, because if you want to get proper tech and proper AI into baking it properly, you need to build the processes for the people to translate the technology into better decisions. And actually, AI today can't really take decisions. So someone needs to pick up the phone and do something, or send an email and do something. But you can automate a lot of that. And like to talk about 3 outcomes our customers get and want to get. Number 1, better customer service. You should tell your customers, hey, you're going up against a big charge of demargin detention, my friend. Okay, heads up. You're going to have, a couple $100 extra on this container. Usually they tell you that after the fact, not ahead of the fact. That's one win you can get. Make your customers, understand where they're going after or where they're going into. Number two, increase your efficiency. You have hundreds of teams in the world, buried in papers, in phone calls, checking websites.
Right.
I think to retain them and to get more out of them, you need to look at what are the big chunks of their schedule. My chairman asked me to analyze my schedule and show it to him to get some feedback on, am I using my time properly? So similarly, analyze the time of your team and see what are the big chunks they're doing. And number three, do you have new revenue opportunities just out there that you're not picking up? Again, the margin intention is a good example. I know business leaders who told me that they simply could charge more, but they're not doing it because the team aren't picking up that from the contracts. They're just missing that because it's too much. So better customer service, more efficiency, more revenue. Outcomes.
Outcomes. Hey, Kevin, folks loved your weatherman quote, Janice and Dr. Mackholtz and others, and me too. I'm going to steal that from you for sure. But Kevin, those three things, better customer service, increased efficiency, new revenue opportunities, all can be gained by focusing on the people and the process as much as the technology. Your quick thoughts there, Kevin.
So, you have a scale. And on one side of the scale, you can put humans. On the other side of the scale, you can put AI. Which way does the scale go?
Oh, man.
That's a good question. I don't think there's one answer that's right. I think it's a different answer for every organization. Many ways to skin a cat. Every business is different. I always tell my investors, I always tell my investors, you're publicly traded in London, so I get scrutinized all day long, and I tell to our customers and to our board and to our team, different is better than better. People without imagination look at their competitors and copy. And that's a great form of flattery. I enjoy getting that flattery from our competitors. However, if you really want to build a growing, viable business, you need to have your own business thesis, a business strategy, and therefore there's no right answer. Maybe for some operation it's all manual because it's like 5 friends and they know what they're doing and they have this telepathy. On the other hand, sometimes maybe you have your expense base in a super expensive place like the US, and you need to automate that because that's your biggest bucket. I don't think there's one good answer. There's maybe good answer for you, not good answer for everyone.
We need a couple more hours, Kevin and Ami, to more fully explore all the various answers to that question. But I like that. All right, for the sake of time, Kevin and Ami, I want to get into this last big segment. Folks, we got some resources that Ami and the Windward team brought here today. You're not going to want to miss that. We're going to make it really easy for you. We're going to make sure we get you connected with Kevin and Ami here at the tail end. But before we get all there, I want to spend some time exploring your vision, Ami. I got a 2-part question for you, right? Because I believe I am fundamentally and firmly and what other adverbs can I add to it?
Unequivocally.
Thank you. Unequivocally. I love that.
Standing in concrete. Go on.
Yes, I am an optimist, and I believe that we can work through all of these challenges today, and that our future is brighter because of that faith and optimism and confidence, right? And my heart goes out to
Amen.
Yes,
Amen.
right. So to that, though, I want you to bring the ammunition that supports that claim. 2-part question. And Kevin, I look forward to getting your thoughts on Ami's parts here. Your vision, a few elements of your vision for the future of supply chain, and going back to the power in particular of Gen AI and how that's going to shape not only the future, but today. Speak to us about your vision and where Gen AI plays into it.
Yeah, I think I mentioned before, I think today we have 2 disparate worlds. We have the world of atoms moving around the world, and we have the world of bits moving in computers, and they're usually matched in hindsight. So you have hundreds of people like looking at all the documents and going 6 to 9 months after the fact and kind of matching that, and people don't close P&Ls and they don't get things done and they chase them. And I think if you look at all the solutions in the world, they're kind of trying to be plugs. And I think if you want to ask for vision, plug is not the right vision, I think. Connecting the worlds of atoms and bits, and I think unleashing or unlocking you will unlock better customer service, you will unlock more revenue, you will unlock more efficiency. The challenge is, Scott, that to do that, you need that thing called leadership. And I think if I would like to reference another book, I told you I'm a book guy. That's Crossing the Chasm. Did you read it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Great.
It's way back then because it's a classic, right? It's a classic. So I think organizations would be wise also to read it and understand where are they in Crossing the Chasm? Do they want to be the innovators? Do you want to be the early adopters? Do you want to be the late majority, the early majority, the laggards, and so forth? And I think I'm not sure a lot of executives that I see take conscious decisions about that. You need to be deliberate because that drives a lot of your decisions. And when you do that, choose one or two or three main partners. Don't spray and pray. Believe in somebody and be willing to fail because you have a journey to go. And I can tell you, our partners choose us, and I always look them in the eye before any big partner chooses us. I go there, I meet them, or they come here, and I look them in the eye. I said, you know what? We got this. If something's wrong, it's on me. Okay? And it's 2 a.m. Pardon my French, shit hits the fan. Sometimes shit hits the fan. You got somewhere to call. I think it's not Ghostbusters, by the way. No, that's not. So I think that's part of it. So be deliberate, cross the chasm, choose the right partner, and connect atoms and bits. Does that make sense as a wrap up?
Yeah.
I love it. Kevin, your thoughts on what Ami just walked us through.
Well, I'm looking at the clock, and I don't want to stop this. This is so much fun. So I'm going to ask a question because I want to pick your brain on what you're seeing in the future. I mean, a lot of artificial intelligence is focused on a particular industry or particular function, and it's been very successful. Like you're using AI in shipping, right? But you talk a lot about how geopolitics affects shipping. So how in the future will AI be used to examine the edge, the intersection between geopolitics and shipping, or the intersection between shipping and air cargo? Because I think there's a lot of value, and history has shown that most value is found at the intersections of these processes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. I think you need to look at 3 different levels of insight. I actually heard this from an admiral friend of ours. One, to the Navy admiral, obviously. One is a tactical insight. So you could get, where should I sail? Where should I ship? That's a tactical insight. I think most of the supply chain world right now is in tactical insights. The second is an economical insight, which means should I be nearshoring? Should I be using this route or that route? And the third is the geopolitical insight, which is kind of the high level. I think it's very hard to connect the macro to the micro right now, because there's also many parameters that flow in. It's like saying what influences the price of oil. The news, geopolitics, everything, right? Well, whatever Trump says can influence the price of oil. Twitter can influence the price of oil, right? Nobody really knows. So I agree with you. However, I think it's way better. It's probably AGI can do that. So perhaps if Zuckerberg really develops an AGI or OpenAI, maybe AGI can put an artificial general intelligence, can put all of that together and answer that question. But I think until that happens, I suspect the signals on the geopolitics side will be macro signals. Should I be nearshoring or should I not be nearshoring? Like that type.
Yes.
And I think we should focus on outcomes for 2024 so we can reap benefits, because trust is hard to buy and easy to lose.
That's right.
And if you want to get AI into a traditional area like supply chain, you need outcomes. Trust. Otherwise, we'll all meet again in a year's time. It will be a nice innovation project. And innovation doesn't build big companies. It doesn't reap a lot of benefits unless the business adopts it and does a digital transformation to give it back to you.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, man. I don't think I want to call the AGI genie out just yet, though.
No.
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. It will be a bit of an hasta la vista, baby, to quote another movie.
But to your question you posed, Kevin, and Ami's wonderful answer, I thought, because there's lots of answers to that question. I do believe we'll always be surprised, unfortunately, in global supply chain. That's the nature of what we do. But there's less surprises. There's better opportunities to plan. Because going back to what Ami shared early on in the conversation, research after research, the organizations and leaders that really invest in preparing, and I hate to use a cliche, future-proofing organization, those are the ones that are built to last, but also can succeed in the turns, as I think Gartner coined it. So we have the great opportunity to have, and our teams to have far less surprises. Okay, Kevin,
that's a winning line.
That's right. It's a winning line. Okay, I will roll with it. If we've got Ami and Kevin endorsing it, man, we can rule the world. But hey, folks, in the pre-show that y'all didn't capture here today, some of y'all that have seen me and Kevin's earlier shows, or even some where Greg's with us too, you may know that Kevin's call sign back in the Navy was Blaze, right? He's got some great stories there. So in the pre-show here today, Ami's like, hey, you know what? Y'all going to give me a call sign here today. And you know what, Ami? Sarah has delivered, because a minute ago I asked you for ammunition to support something I was putting out there. Well, Sarah says, no. I'm in this. I think I'm saying it wrong.
Ammunition. All right. I love that.
A good one.
Thank you,
Sarah. I'm going to put it down, my friend. Please. I'm going to put it down. That's it.
All right.
You gotta go,
it's on the helmet. It's on the helmet.
Sarah. Go copyright it, Sarah.
That's right. Do it now. Great to have you here.
Ammunition TM.
Everybody, I know we had so many great comments here today as we start to kind of move into down the home stretch. I know we couldn't hit everybody, but really thanks for bringing it. And of course, Ami and the Windward team may be circling back on some of these comments, and who knows, the conversations that can take place after wonderful live stream events like this one. But wait, there's more. I love it when folks, Kevin, bring resources to the table. So whether you work with Windward, which I'm sure Ami and the team would love, and they've been growing left and right, or even if you don't work with Windward, you can still benefit from the resources that they bring, including, first up, a free report. I think I've got a graphic here on what's been going on in the Red Sea and how you can better navigate it, right? So y'all check this out. Free report, the Houthi effect.
Right price, too.
That's right. Global ports. Y'all check that out. We're dropping the link in the chat for this report. It's really easy to download. I did it earlier today. But wait, we've got more. If you want to learn more, and I love how Ami, Kevin, he really focuses so much on industry and leadership and the challenges of practitioners. You didn't hear him sell Windward enough. So I'm going to have to do it for you, Ami. Folks, learn more about the really cool things, innovative things they're doing. Windward Ocean Freight Visibility Solutions. We're dropping that link there. Very informational. And folks, don't take our word for it. Book a demo. We're dropping a third link where you can click on that, and you'll really understand the benefit you can gain, that your teams can gain, most importantly, from working with Ami and the Windward team. Kevin, before I go on, because we're going to make sure folks know how to connect with Ami, if they want to have a keynote, or if they want to do global supply chain better, or if they just want to have a great time and enjoy someone that has really set out to change the world. And I really mean that with lots of I'm being genuine. What's the right participle of that word? I really mean that. I'm not saying that as lip service. Kevin, talk to this opportunity that we have here to do business different and really lean in with your teams to technology that allow you to do just that.
So I like the AI guy saying be balanced. and that's a critical takeaway, right? The philosophers say all things in moderation. That includes your AI. So thank you for that.
That's right.
I'm taking that away.
Diversification isn't just for your stock portfolios, is it, Kevin?
Right,
Ami,
right.
Kind of take a balanced approach to doing business better. Ami, those three resources, especially, we talked about the free report. We talked about learning more about what y'all do at Windward, and we also talked about the demo. What would you personally invite if you had a magic wand and could divert people's attention to one of those? What would that be, Ami?
Go for the demo. Don't waste time reading. Take a look at the real tech. I don't believe presentations. I don't believe slideware. I only believe real technology that I can measure, because the world is full of tech BS. And when they go and get stuff, when they go and get stuff, the tough gets going, my friends. So go get some real tech, not slideware.
Man, I love that. So y'all check that out. And as Amanda, and big thanks to Amanda and Catherine and Daniel behind the scenes helping facilitate things. Authentic is the word I was reaching for. I've had the good fortune, Kevin, to spend some time on 2 or 3 occasions with Ami. And I'm telling you, the person you see in front of this camera is the same person you see behind the scenes, very passionate about doing things better. I love that. Okay. I got 2 final questions, and then we're going to wrap. I want to make sure folks know how to connect with both Ami and Kevin. Let's start with Ami. Ami Daniel, changing the world at Windward. How can folks connect with you and the team?
Well, I think drop me a line. It's Ami at Windward.ai. So it's AMI at WINDWARD.ai, or just grab me on LinkedIn. It's Ami Daniel on LinkedIn. You'll see my handsome face all over there. And follow me, because I try to analyze like global events every day or so in the last month and show you what the data really means about it. It's widely quoted, and about 1.5 billion people saw it in the last month. So take a look at it and let me know what you think. I might be getting it completely wrong.
Well, hey, and I appreciate that transparency. And by the way, Kevin, let's see here. My book count: Only the Paranoid Survive, The Coming Wave, Crossing the Chasm, which is a good an oldie, and of course Built to Last. Good to Great is, I like that one even better than Built to Last. So all on your reading list from Ami. But Kevin, love what you have been doing at Digital Transformers with Kevin, the one and only Kevin L. Jackson. I always enjoy these conversations with you. How can folks connect with you, Kevin?
Well, you can always get me at supplychainnow.com to Digital Transformers, but on LinkedIn as well. And on X at Kevin_Jackson. But don't email me. I'm like 50,000 behind. So.
Well, what a great conversation, Kevin and Ami. Really enjoyed both y'all. Hey, look here. Bill Stankiewicz, our dear friend down in Savannah, says, drop that contact information in chat. And Daniel's on the spot.
Daniel's on it.
Ami, you're out there, my friend. You're going to get all sorts of invites and requests to analyze what's going on out there in the business world. So ask and ye shall receive. Ami, really enjoyed our time here today. Really appreciate what you and the Windward team are doing. Big thanks to Ami Daniel, co-founder and CEO of Windward. We will see you.
Ami.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. It's been fun. Let's do it again soon.
We will. And Kevin L. Jackson, I really love the how we tackled this conversation from a couple of different angles. And I'll tell you, you and Ami are going to have to take it on the road. You're quite a 1-2 punch. We're going to have to maybe have the Rolling Stones open for y'all, huh?
I tell you,
Taylor Swift is coming to London. Let's be the warm-up act.
All right. The pre-show was so fun. I didn't know I wanted to do the show, but this is great.
It was great. It was great. And folks, next time we'll talk about Kevin L. Jackson's basketball exploits with David Robinson, the Admiral. So stay tuned. But hey,
that'll be a short conversation.
That's right. Hey, kidding aside, though, folks, kidding aside, thanks for being here. Thanks for all the comments. No, we couldn't get to everybody. Really appreciate that. But whatever you do, right, take something from that Ami or Kevin dropped here, the brilliance they dropped on us here today, and put it into action. Your teams will appreciate it. And with that said, on behalf of our entire team here at Supply Chain Now, Scott Luton challenging you to do good, to give forward, and to be the change. And we'll see you next time right back here at Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.